Hey, fellas. Welcome to Southwest Titans Fantasy Football League Week 1 recap, Week 2 preview, and a special edition of Rides Rants. Just, it's a little scoring feature in this league that's always driven me nuts. And I'm going to give a player comparison just to see what you all think. Again, it's Rides Rants. Doesn't mean you have to agree with me. All right, we're going to jump right in, picking up right where he left off last season. FAFO dominated most of the regular season, won the championship, and now starts off week 1, stud of the week. Very impressive. FAFO knocked off Tebow United 167 to 87. That's a pretty big difference. He was led by his quarterback Anthony Richardson and the Dallas defense, but overall he still had 7 players in double figures. Very impressive to start week 1 and to get the win. The runner-up stud of the week, Shake It Goff, which last year was just the two of us. That's Corey. Unfortunately, I played Corey last week. Shake It Goff had a great start to his week, knocking me off 152, 153 to 110 points. And, wasn't a great week for me. Oh well. Corey had a great week. He was led, he had 7 players in double figures, had Chicago defense, which was huge, which I watched that game. All of their defense came in the second half. I mean, it was all of a sudden they were up 25 points plus on the defensive side. Ended up, I think, with like 33 points, 31 points. But anyway, very, very, very impressive by the Bears defense. And then also he had almost 28 or 29 points from Saquon Barkley, which I was texting him during the game. I said, I had Saquon Barkley last season, and it took 3 weeks before he scored that many points. So I'm so happy for you. But anyway, of course, everything's different now that he's with a decent team in the Eagles. So, all righty. Third highest score was Paduke Fins. Last season's biggest loser wheel champion steps out big to open the season with a 147 to 83 victory over Mighty Coon Dogs. Paduke Fins, he was, in my opinion, the most balanced team. He had 6 players in double figures, but then the other 6 players were all around 9+ points each. So very well-rounded. I always love well-rounded teams myself, where you can get consistent scoring across the board. So he had a very, very good week and a very balanced week. Mighty Coon Dogs, of his 83 points, he got 24 from the Saints defense. So we'll see how things go for him this week. That takes us to IH Braves, who was up against D's Nuts. IH Braves won easily, 143 to 74. IH Braves had 7 players in double figures, but he's got that Tua Tyreek Hill combo. We'll talk about that in the week 2 preview. But anyway, a big win. So far, all the week 1 matchups were all blowouts until we get to Cowpokes, who was playing Hey Fellas. Cowpokes gets the win 137 to 122. That was the tightest game of week 1. Cowpokes with 7 players in double figures. Hey Fellas with 5 players in double figures, but he also had 2 with 9+ points. So not an awesome or a poor performance from either one of them. Pretty decent performances from each. So off to a good start with for Cowpokes to get a win with 137 points, and Hey Fellas right there, poised to get a win in week 2, in my opinion. And then finally, Ozark was playing Marino's Mafia. Ozark gets the win, 134 to 113. Ozark was led by Lamar Jackson, who had a very good game, and his kicker, Jake Moody, had 20, 26, 27 points, something like that, which I thought my Brandon Aubrey did good with 21. But Jake Moody was even better. And then Mafia, a lot of his points came from Josh Allen, so he'll need a little bit more balanced attack going forward. So that takes us through the week 1 recap, week 2 preview. As always, we'll start off with number 1. FAFO against number 12, D's Nuts. Last week, FAFO would have won 167 to 75. And then so far right now, the projections have FAFO by 14 points. I think this will be a fairly easy win for FAFO in week 2 and continue his dominance in the league. Number 2, Shake It Golf against number 8, Marino's Mafia. Last week, Shake It Golf would have won 153 to 113. So far, projections, Shake It Golf by 12 points. Again, I'm not saying it would be a blowout, but I'm going to have to lean towards Shake It Golf. Of course, these are easy for me to say. I'm going to lean towards the guy that scored the most points last week, the second most points. But that's just my opinion based on that and the projections. So then we get to number 3, Paducah Fins versus number 10, Tebow United. Last week would have been a blowout for Paducah, 147 to 87. But the projections are a lot tighter on this one. For week 2, it has Paducah Fins by 5 points. So we'll see how that shakes out. Again, just because Paducah had a good week last week, he's up on the projections. Tebow just had such a weak performance or poor scoring that I've got to lean towards Paducah on that one. This is, originally, before the Thursday night game, I would have thought this was the best matchup of the week. Number 4, IH Braves versus number 5, the Cowpokes. Last week, IH Braves would have edged Cowpokes out 143 to 137. But right now, the projections have Cowpokes by 39. And that comes back to IH Braves having that Tua, Tyreek Hill connection. Did not have a good game, either one. And then Tua, of course, had the concussion to end the game, or they're late in the game. And so his future games are in question. But with that poor performances, spit it out. That's what she said. Oh, no, she didn't. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I have to go with the Cowpokes on this one to start out 2-0. Number 6, Ozark Mountain Daredevils versus number 11, Mighty Coon Dogs. Last week, Ozark would have won 134 to 83. Ozark is projected to win by 28. I'm not going to argue with 28-point plus margin on a projection. So I'll go with Ozark to get his second win of the season as well. And finally, number 7, Hey Fellas versus number 9, Brides Rabbits. Last week, Hey Fellas would have won 122 to 110. And the projections right now have Hey Fellas by 12. He had a good start by the Miami Dolphins running back with 20 points. And I overthought things and benched my Buffalo defense, who scored 26. Sucky manager. So I'm actually going to pick against myself and say, Hey Fellas gets the win this week in week 2. So that takes us to Rides Rants. Again, it's just my opinion. We have this scoring feature in this league that I've never seen it in any other league. I'm going to give you a comparison of 2 quarterbacks Doesn't matter who owns them. It didn't have any impact on any performances, any wins or losses. So it's nothing about that. I'm not whining because it made me lose. It had no impact on me losing, or anything like that. I just want to give you a comparison, and you tell me which quarterback was the better quarterback. All right, so be thinking in your mind. I'm gonna run off the stats here. The first quarterback had 268 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Good game. Good game. I'm not arguing that at all. That's a good game. The second quarterback had 310 total yards, so over 40 more total yards, 4 touchdowns instead of 3, and 0 interceptions as opposed to 1. And neither one of them had any fumbles. So when I'm looking at that, I mean, the second quarterback was obviously the better quarterback. He had more total yards, more touchdowns, and fewer interceptions. But that's not the case. The first quarterback scored more points. So I was like, how is that? I mean, it just caught my eye. Like, how is that even possible? And it's because of this 40-plus yard plays get 2 extra bonus points. And the first quarterback happened to have 3 of those. And the second quarterback didn't have any. Does that really deserve bonus points? I mean, if it were a 40-plus yard rushing play, I'd be behind it. Because, I mean, that's impressive. But 40-plus yard passing play, I mean, it could be blown coverage. Sometimes they do a little 7-yard, 8-yard slant, and they break free. And anyway, the second quarterback was obviously the better quarterback, but he scored fewer fantasy points. Anyway, that's just my rant for the week. Good luck tomorrow, everyone. Good luck in week 2, and hope you all enjoyed it. See you. Have a great weekend.